the first IPPE PhD student to progress this far. And so we're going to learn more about the process through Jiesi. Now, I'm supposed to give an introduction to Jiesi, but I think you all know Jiesi, so I won't bother giving you an introduction. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Jiesi now.
Hi everyone. Today I present my PhD for pre-submissions, although I just presented my CLC half a year ago. The topic of my thesis is the relations among the academic motivation, self-concept, aspiration, and choices, integrating expectancy-value and academic self-concept theories. There is a dire shortage of able students pursuing university education, particularly in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics-related fields, which is critical for industrialized countries seeking to recover from their global financial success and maintain their global competitiveness. Unfortunately, the proportion of students pursuing STEM courses at high school and subsequently pursuing STEM pathway has declined. Also, females are still underrepresented in many STEM fields. For example, the percent women among STEM bachelor degree has been decreased for last decades based on US national data. The expectancy-value theory as one of the major frameworks in achievement motivation has been widely used to tackle these issues. And the expectancy-value framework has been relatively generative and particularly focused on two categories of motivation factors: expectancy of success and achievement they have for succeeding a given task. These two sets of motivation beliefs are seen to influence students' achievement-related behavior and choices. Compared to traditional EVT, the modern EVT elaborate multiple components, value, and linked expectancy and value to a variety of psychological, cultural, and social determinants and processes. The expectancy component is characterized as a task-specific self-belief about success in a future task. And the value component, there are four major value components. Intrinsic value refers to how enjoyable the task is. Utility value refers to how useful the task for fulfilling short or long-term goals, which is similar to the identified motivation in SDT. Attainment value refers how a task manifests one's personal needs and both personal and social identity, and similar to integrated motivation in SDT. Finally, the cause refers to the negative aspect of engaging a task in terms of time, effort, and energies. One of the major limitations of previous EVT research is the omission of the multiplicative relation between expectancy and value. The reason might be the difficulty in detecting the latent interactions. Typically, the multiplicative relation has been declined, being a synergistic or compensatory relations. A synergistic relation suggests both high expectancy and high value are essential to high outcome. But the compensatory relation suggests high expectancy can compensate the low value, and vice versa. However, even there are a huge variation within each type of relations. So, this one of the central contribution of this study is to test the manifest relation between expectancy and value in predict diverse outcomes and provide a more complete evaluation of multiplicative relation in support for modern EVTs. And on the other hand, it's not. Considerable research has demonstrated that academic self-concept is an important determinant of diverse educational outcomes. As expectancy is typically operationalized by self-concept in educational research, Theoretical model posited in self-concept theory, such as domain specificity, reciprocal effect model, internal, external frame of references model, should play important role in EVT processes. However, this theoretical consideration has not been fully addressed in EVT. So more specifically, the initial self-concept model positive self-concept is a multidimensional and hierarchical construct in which different school subjects are highly correlated and forming a global construct. And the revised self-concept is found a nearly uncorrelation between math and verbal self-concept and revised the self-concept model, which comprise two high-order constructs, self-concept, mathematical and verbal self-concept, and the academic continuum of self-concept in various school subjects, ranging from mathematics at one end and English at the other end. And the reciprocal effect posited the prior self-concept influence subsequent achievement, a prior achievement influence subsequent self-concept control for prior measure of corresponding constructs. An IE model was developed to explain the nearly uncorrelation between mathematics and verbal self-concept. The internal comparison process results in a achievement in one domain having a negative effect on self-concept in other domain. And more recently, the IE model has been extended to DCT, dimensional comparison series. One of the key features of the DCT is the cross-path involving the near and far comparisons, which related students how to determine the similarity of school subjects. And according to the math-verbal continuums of school subjects, the near cross-paths involving the near comparisons, such as math and physics, are substantially less negative and may even be more positive. So in the integration of self-concept theory and expectancy-value theory, provide a better understanding of the students' decision-making processes. So the research end of this thesis is to test EVT prediction and the integration of self-concept theory on diverse educational outcomes, particularly for the self-concept by value interactions. So this thesis comprises 5 empirical studies based on large and national and international data sets, which allows to test the generalizability of the result across country and student cohorts. There are 3 major research questions. First, this thesis explores how self-concept and multiple value belief interact in predicting diverse achievement-related outcomes. Second, it examines where theoretical model posited in self-concept theory generalized to different value belief. And finally, it also look at how the social cultural factors such as gender, socialization, SES shape individual and gender difference in education and career pathways. So here I brief each of 5 studies. So study 1 is to test the relationship between motivational beliefs such as self-concept, intrinsic and utility value, and the background variables such as gender and SES in predicting mathematics, achievement and aspirations. Participants are from Hong Kong grade 8 students based on 3-wave teams data. So the results show that the self-concept is more predictive of math achievement and utility value is more predictive of educational aspirations. But intrinsic value do not have their predictive effect on both outcomes. And when the latent interaction are added to model, only self-concept by utility value consistently predict the 2 outcome variables. And the negative also found the negative effect for gender suggests that the gender difference in 2 educational outcomes are mediated by gender difference in motivations in favor of boys. And the positive indirect effect for SES suggests that students from high SES family are likely to have higher motivation, which leads to higher outcomes. And the study 2 is to test the directionality of among of the association among the cognitive assets such as IQ, achievement, motivational belief, aspiration, and attainment from late adolescence, grade 10, into the early adulthood. So the participants are from a nationality representative sample of the US boys. And this study focuses on the general academic motivation and more general educational outcome. So this is the hypothesis model. And the results show that self-concept and intrinsic value have reciprocal effect with self-concept cross-town and predict the long-term educational attainments. But only self-concept was consistently found to predict career and educational aspiration cross-town. And the other intrinsic finding is that the self-concept achievement account for almost all the association between IQ and long-term educational attainments. But all of the interaction effects are non-significant for all of the educational outcomes here. Study 3 is to explore the individual gender difference in university entry and STEAM major selections. Participants are from a nationality sample of 15 years old Australian youngs. This is a 10 years follow-up study. So the results show that the self-concept and the other two value components, intrinsic utility value, have a unique contribution on mass course selection at high school, but value is more directly linked to the STEAM major selections. And self-concept have a stronger effect on tertiary entry rank, but only utility value have significant effect on university entries. And both mathematics and science achievement have positive effect on motivation belief, but reading achievement have a negative effect, which leads to a negative indirect effect on math course and STEAM major selections, which partially explains why the students who have higher math and verbal ability are less likely to pursue STEAM paths compared to those with high mathematics but moderate verbal abilities. So, but again, we found only self-concept and intrinsic value significantly predict the 4 outcome variables when 2 interaction terms are considered simultaneously. And intrinsic, all the motivation belief are important mediator for self-concept for the gender and SES, but the hypothesis relationship did not vary by gender and SES. It means that all the process of choices of education pathway are similar for female and male and the student from different family backgrounds. And study 4 is based on extending the expectancy-value theory in relation to 4 science domains: physics, chemistry, earth science, and biology. Study 4 is to test the new predictions about how the self-concept and intrinsic utility value related to achievement and coursework aspirations. And the participants are from grade 8 students in 4 OECD countries: Czech Republic, Hungary, Slovenia, and Sweden, in teams 2007. There's only these 4 OECD countries in which the students complete the surveys in relation to the 4 science outcomes, science domains. So first take a look at the domain specificity of motivation belief in 4 science domains. And the correlation among the 4 science factors are quite small, and the similar pattern was found for intrinsic value, but those for utility value are substantially higher. So the result provides strong support for the domain specificity of self-concept and intrinsic value, but relative weak for utility values. And the result also provides strong support for the domain specificity of the relations among the achievement, self-concept, and aspirations. It means that the matching achievement subsequently substantially predict the self-concept, which in turn predict aspirations. And consistent of the dimensional comparison theory. The course paths involving the far comparisons, such as physics and biology, are negative, and those involving the near comparisons are positive, such between physics and chemistry. It's just that students may perceive physics and chemistry as similar subjects, so the achievement feedback in one domain may generalize to the others. The pattern's results are similar for self-concept and intrinsic value, but substantially smaller for utility values. So when the two-cell interaction considered separately, both are significantly predict the matching coursework aspirations. But when taken together, only self-concept by intrinsic values significantly predict the coursework aspirations. And in support of the generalizability of the results, predictions are consistent across countries. Study 5 is to explore the unique contribution of self-concept and the 4 value components and their interaction in predict achievement, effort, and academic engagements. So a sample are from German grade A students, 9 students. The key feature of this study is the inclusion of multiple value facets. So, for example, attainment value was measured by 2 value facets: intrinsic importance of achievement and personal importance, and 5 value facets such as utility for school, daily life, job, and future life, and social utility are used to measure utility value. And the 3 value facets for cost, effort, emotion, and opportunity cost. So we provide an innovative second-order by-factor model for value components. So in this model, the total variance are partitioned into a global value and underlying the 37 items and the 10 value facets that reflect the residual variance not explained by the global values, and which form the 4 major value components. So the key features of the by-factor model is that the value components are uncorrelated to one another and with the global value, which is suited to explore the unique contribution of the self-concept and each value components. So results show that again, self-concept is more predictive achievement, but only costs have a significant effect on achievement for the control for the global values. And while the value is more predictive self-reported efforts, and all of the value have a unique contribution on the outcome except for the utility value. Then finally, the self-concept and all the value have a predictive effect of teacher-related engagements except for the utility values. When the interaction effect was taken into account, only self-concept by global values significantly predict the 3 outcome values. The summary, here I summarize the predictive power of expectancy-value and constructs cost-5 studies. So for the general educational outcome, a general academic self-concept play a more important role in predicting educational aspiration, career aspiration, and educational attainment, as study 2. And for the domain-specific outcome variables, a self-concept is a dominant predictor of achievement. A value is more predictive of education and coursework aspiration and academic efforts. And value is also more directly linked to STEAM major selection and university entries. And self-concept and the value component have their unique contribution on the coursework selection and the academic engagements. For the multiplicative relationships, the study to show all the interaction effect between the general self-concept and value are non-significant. However, for the domain-specific educational outcome, the study 3 to study 5 demonstrate consistently show the synergistic relation between domain-specific self-concept value and predict all outcome variables. So in the the figures show that the self-concept have a small positive effect on outcome when value is low, but the effect becomes substantial positive when the value is high. So the synergistic relation suggests the outcome only occur when both self-concept and value are high, relatively high. But the study one showed the compensatory relation between the domestic self-concept and value. It's just that the self-concept is more important for the outcome when value is low, and vice versa. So this inconsistency may be due to the cultural issues. Because the study 3 to study 5 is focused on the Western country, and study 1 is just based on the Hong Kong samples. Although these two types of relation are consistent with the EVT. So it's important to replicate and extend the future study to evaluate the generalizability of the result to students who from different countries, different cultural backgrounds. So the result also provides strong support for the self-concept model in relation to intrinsic value, but relative with support for the utility values. For the gender and SES effects, a gender difference in motivational belief favoring boys are partially mediated by gender difference in STEAM major selections and educational outcomes. The motivation belief also an important mediator of SES, but the gender and SES did not largely moderated the process underlying choices of educational pathway. What's the implication of these findings? First, the reciprocal effect of self-concept and intrinsic value with academic achievement suggests that educators strive to improve both self-concept and intrinsic value along with achievement in order to produce the positive change in each of these constructs. And the domain specificity in the 4 science domain suggests that the intervention focusing on a general science, self-concept or intrinsic value might not be beneficial in promoting students' motivation in STEAM fields. And although self-concept and different value components have different predictive effect on the outcome variable, but the synergistic relation suggests that the intervention targeting the promotion of students' performance and the motivation should see to enhance both self-concept and values. And this study also shows how the internal comparison process influences students' major selections and educational behavior. So teachers should be aware of such internal comparison process underlying students, the formation of students' self-concept and intrinsic value. It will help the teacher provide effective feedback and improve retentions in STEAM courses through high schools. So finally, the gender and SES effect indicated the STEAM motivation intervention should more focus on female and the students from low SES. Thank you for your attention.
Jiesi, I have one about study 4. So study 4, the OECD countries. Why did you select only those? Was it because that's the only data you had, or?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because in this data only it is for OECD country. The student finished all of the 4 science domains surveys.
Oh, okay. And why do the others not collected? Is it a routine collection? And because they seem quite dissimilar in many ways.
No idea.
Oh, okay.
Maybe because in some country, the science was taught separately in terms of 4 subjects, but in some countries just were taught separately in terms of maybe 3 subjects, so they did not participate in these surveys.
the countries were given their option, and if they taught science in a reasonably integrated fashion, then they just looked at general science and they didn't look at the specific areas. But if the countries said that we have quite separate science classes, then they gave them the option of filling out the questionnaire in relation to each specific science content area.
Okay, a couple of stupid questions. In addition to self-concept, there are also measures of anxiety and self-efficacy. And in some of our work, we found out with PISA 2003, we found out that they are stronger predictors of achievement. Did you look at that at all?
No.
No, okay. The second question is more general, because I haven't been totally educational psychologist in my approach. What bothers me is that there is a lot of talk about domain specificity as being important. The area where I come from, intelligence research, what you have is a general factor, very strong general factor, and the correlations between the domains of verbal and non-verbal abilities correlating to give a general factor of intelligence. And what I am kind of, this perhaps for her and everybody else, feedback, what I think we should be doing in educational psychology is telling people that in fact this notion of domain specificity is in our heads. In fact, if you're good in English, you're also going to be good in mathematics, or not totally an idiot in mathematics. So if you go around and tell everybody that this is the case, then perhaps this domain specificity would not be playing as much of a role as it is now. And do the educational psychologists talk about it at all? It doesn't have to be your answer, but other people as well here. I just wonder, there's this general factor of intelligence, general factor of abilities, achievement tests are showing that, and still we go around, and if we are girls, we think we're not made for maths, instead of telling them that you are, if you're good in verbal abilities, you're as good as anything. Are the educational psychologists talking about it or not at all?
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay, well, thanks.
You won't have a quick answer to that, I think. At least another 10 years research.
There are different constructs, and that's why self-concept does a better job than achievement of predicting domain-specific outcomes like coursework
no question about that.
And so that's why the domain specificity is so important. And what was quite interesting here is that the domain specificity was very strong for self-concept and very strong for the intrinsic value, but considerably less strong for the utility value, which was had more of a global sort of factor. And so he was able to show that there was a global value kind of factor that cut across to some of those to an extent. Yeah.
Because the motivations play a more important role in the behavior choices compared to the treatment. So that's why the domain specificity is quite important for the self-concept and the value.
Jiesi, can I just ask you about intrinsic value? You talked about increasing intrinsic value as being part of the solution. How do you increase intrinsic value? What would you tell teachers to do to increase the intrinsic value?
One of the popular articles published in Science about how to promote students' intrinsic value is provide make the class more practical, and then they give an intervention for students that talking about how useful and how useful the science in their daily life, and then ask students to write down their feeling about the relevance of the value in science, which is can just promote have a certain, I think it's a certain effect on promoting students in intrinsic value.
Well, especially with science, I think it's more a question of how is it possible to kill intrinsic innovation to the extent that the educational system does? I mean, science is such naturally an intrinsically interesting area, and yet somehow or another our educational system has made it so boring and so tedious that people are turned off by it. That's a real indictment on the educational system.
Can I ask a question? Your document says this thesis examines whether interaction between domain-specific academic self-concept and value beliefs significantly predict a wide range of achievement-related outcomes. Do you need 5 studies to get to this? I'm thinking about the examiner. You asked me to examine this? Are you sure? Too much to read.
So here we will consider multiple large data sets which allow to test the generalizability of the results. In terms of different country and different cohorts, so just make the study stronger. Because we still found some inconsistencies between Western and Asian culture, so it's important to replicate and extend the research.
So maybe that global focus, cross-cultural focus, maybe needed a little bit more strengthening or something.
Well, it's strong in the articles.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably wasn't emphasized as much as he might have in trying to present 5 studies in 25 minutes.
Which you've done extraordinarily well.
So I have one question and one request. I may have missed this. How was achievement measured?
Achievement measures depend on different studies. Most of them is just like because most of them are from not the lowest, the state, no state determinations. For example, teams and PISAs. But in study 3, we used the high state measures, state achievements in study 3 because we used the university ranking entering as one of the achievement measures.
Also, these are objective measures.
Yes.
Really interesting. And my request was, can you review the compensatory interaction in study 1, just so I can better understand?
So study 1 showed the compensatory relations. So it means that the self-concept have a stronger effect when value is low, but when value high, self-concept become much smaller. So it indicates that the self-concept is more important for the outcome for the student who have lower values.
And was this true for all the values or for specific?
Yeah, in this case only found the utility values, but not intrinsic value. Because intrinsic value is do not have predictive effect on the outcome. And study 1 we focus on 2 outcome variables and achievement and educational aspirations.
That's really interesting. There's other work emerging similar showing compensatory interactions between conscientiousness and autonomous motivations, and similarly conscientiousness and academic effort.
Yeah.
So this is really dovetailing with that.
Yes.
Great.
Any questions? That's it. Thank you very much.